Namaste to all. I welcome you all on this very important webcast, which is hosted by the Committee on MSME and Startup. Honorable Chairman of the Committee on the MSME and Startup, CA Dheeraj Khandelwalji, who has been leading this committee like no one. Like, this is the first time the committee has been formed, and the way he has handled and the way he has been organizing so many resources to make it available to the members at large, who can ultimately benefit the entrepreneurs who will again be adding to the nation's economy. So that work has been done. Thanks a lot, Chairman Sir, for taking continuous initiatives on this committee. We have two speakers out here. One CA GB Modi ji has been who's an excellent person into dealing into MSME only. He has been earlier also being a resource person on this committee and has delivered his thought process on the MSME subsidies to the members. And we have CA Bhavesh Thakkar also who will be talking about. GB Modi ji would be talking about cold storage subsidy from the National Horticulture Board, and CA Bhavesh Thakkar ji would be talking about production-linked focus on food processing, white goods, pharmaceuticals. So both these topics are very important, and if our members understand these subsidies, these incentives in various sectors, two important sectors covered today, not two, I would say three, four. One is cold storage, and second is our processing of food processing units, white goods, and pharmaceuticals. So these all would be very much helpful to all our members. I welcome you all, and I request my chairman to give his opening key messages.
Thank you, Pramod Jain sir. I think you wrongly stated, I am the only person. You are the, main pillar with us in this committee. It's a jointly responsibility we are discharging together. So it's like your elderness, you are giving the credit to only the chairman. So thank you for your nice lecture. Friends, my senior colleagues and speaker, G. Modi ji and Bhavesh Thakkar ji. And we wanted to have this program for our fraternity people. And we need to understand 2 or 3 aspects. Why this committee and what this committee can do it. And what kind of benefits will be there for having such kind of lectures. Friends, this time the institute has taught it, the president has thought fit of it, and having the idea from Pramod Jain ji, let's set up a MSME and startup committee who can only specific for MSME. In the institute, from last 72 years, we are more on the subject specific on technical side, and whether it's a direct or indirect tax or accounting standards, or a lot of other topics, corporate taxes laws, which we are dealing in. But being a vertical area, we have committee for practice as well as in industries. But this is the new segments. The Prime Minister Modi came out in 2016 about Startup India. Then the MSME India, Make in India concepts came. And since then, it's a demand that India is doing. The Prime Minister Modi has set out the 5 trillion economy by 2025. Then it's need, who going to drive it? How this 5 trillion economy can be sustained? The 5 trillion economy definitely can sustain through the MSME. We have to have a strong MSME footage in the pan-India basis. As of now, our contribution to the GDP from MSME is 30%, and Nitin Gadkari is leading this ministry, and their vision is about 40 to 50% to reach out in 2025. contributions. Once we are having thought of having contribution to GDP 50%, means there are a lot of areas are there. We wanted to not in the capital, only branches of few people are having a dominated country. We wanted it spread across India about all the 50%, more than 60, 70 are all people are working in this great economy and can in the business and can do it from micro to small, small to the medium to the large scale unit. That is the ultimate objective. And for a small initial side, for micro and small and medium companies need a support. And for their support, there are a lot of schemes are required, lot of subsidies are required, lot of capital investments is required. And that is why the India has a lot of schemes, whether in 2021 there was a scheme for the from the electronic, then 10 items added, food processing, textile, telecom, specializing steel, automobile, auto component, solar, white goods, LED. So these are the areas need a special attention from the central side. These are can grab it and they can have a strong footage in the production side and make in India side, so that we can have a low dependence on the import. We need to have a lot of manufacturing hub, and that's why various schemes came up to set up a various units. And in 2021 also, the finance minister has came out 13 more sector for the scheme, and budget outlay is about near about 197 lakh crore rupees. That's outlay going to be there in this scheme. In the schemes, we have the capital incentives and physical incentives also. And if we talk about the physical incentives, it's like rebate in the GST, rebate in the income tax, such kind of factor. In the capital subsidy, the money what we are introducing, money you are getting it. So today we have topics from both the speaker, G.V. Modi ji and Bhavesh Thakkar ji, who are going to take it. Friends, we in the as central scheme, there are also a state schemes. In the state schemes, someone is helping for the MSME, someone is helping for the startup, for industrial park. There's a logistic park also. There's a capital subsidy also in the large industries. So different states have different geographical advantage, and for the geographical advantage, they are giving incentives or lucrative for the industry. Let's come industry to in their state and set up the business and can take the benefit. So every states have the various advantage, and today we're going to discuss the entire things on the cold storage and pharmaceutical and food processing and white goods. So friends, this in the pandemic time, we need to understand all these new subjects. This is going to be required a professional opportunities to our all chartered accountant. It's not only professional opportunity, it's giving back to the society and standing a partner in nation building for the nation to stand for the increasing the GDP growth. And while increasing the GDP growth, we chartered accountant as a business solution provider. We are engine growth for the business. And that's why we not only look ourselves, we look at that, how the industry can grow. We cannot only survive only on the compliance part or statutory requirement part. We have to look upon our expertise to give into the back to society from the setting of the business to the operating the business of the capital requirement. All these things are needed. And our committee is doing the same thing, and we are coming up a course on 27th of June. We are going to launch it, and in this week covering each and every area, whether restructuring or capital or seed funding, all incentives, all state subjects, everything, including all ASIC unit, all things we are going to cover and coming up the subject, and look forward your thought process to work in this area. We wanted, this is the another area where the chartered accountant can play important role, and they can render the service to our all SME clients. We are setting up a help desk, MSME help desk in the all branches, 164 branches. We're going to come up a portal also. In the portal, all helps going to be there. If the MSME is looking a startup or MSME is looking for a chartered accountant services, that's empowerment going to be there. They can look forward a services that's going to be a MSME CA exchange program. That is the scheme going to be there. Today, we'll have to listen GB Modi ji. He's going to talk about cold storage. Just wanted to brief the members. There's a scheme in the cold storage. He will going to explain about the scheme are available for the 5,000 metric ton and 10,000 metric ton for the capital schemes for a modernization of cold storage or new cold storage. So that's the setting up is required. There incentives also there, and as well as the capital subsidy there. As far as incentives, I know that one of my client is there that having enjoying the 5-year income tax benefit, and then after 5 years it's a 20 or 30%. I don't not recall it. 25 to 30% subsidies are available. So 10 years kind of tax holidays are available for such a beautiful in the cold storage. So it's a great advantage after having a Kisan Pradhan Mantri Kisan Sampada Yojana connecting villages to the so in this area, the cold storage supply chain system is the strong lead for the supply chain system. So in this, that's a bigger aspects. I'm seeing this cold storage facilities since 20 years. And this is now become a lucrative part. Every needs to have a goods to be stored in the cold storage. So that's the topic going to be there by GB Modi, as well as Thakkaji will going to speak on the pharmaceutical. He's going to talk about the food processing. Food processing is one of the very interesting area. Whether food processing, whether it's a ready to cook food, ready to eat food, processed food, fruits and vegetable, marine product, I think egg product, lot of things are comes in this particular area, and we can play an important role in the food processing. And it's a dynamic industries which is be there, and the government is providing more than 10,000 crore rupees incentives in this area. Same way for white goods. So with this, we tune on it. Let's point out the questions. Ask the question to as many as from both the speaker. I'm going to take the lead your question to the both the gentlemen at the last. So feel free, jot it down all the question. If not able to, we can complete your question. Surely we'll post that question on the website so that you will be answered properly. With this, I welcome first of all GB Modi ji. He is no need of the introduction. As of now, most of people seeing him in the entire India, pan-India basis, in almost all program of the subsidy government schemes, centers. People know his introduction. People looking forward. These are only the speaker. So let's hear it out from the GB Modi. He's hail from Dhule, chartered accountant. He was in the RBG hostel in Mumbai. So look forward, GB Modi ji. Also welcome the Bhavesh Thakkar ji. I'll introduce him later after the GB Modi ji lecture. So let's welcome GB Modi ji, and your turn is now. You are unmute. You have to unmute. Modi ji. Modi ji, you have to unmute yourself.
Yes. Am I audible now?
Yes, now fine.
So today I am going to discuss about the cold storage subsidy from National Horticulture Board. The subsidy made available for establishing cold storage in the nation to increase the shelf life of the perishable commodities, particularly horticulture produce, because that our country, India, is having a vast production of horticulture produce, but due to unavailability of storage capacities, those horticulture produce get wasted. So the Government of India, Ministry of Agriculture and Family Welfare has come out with a scheme which is specifically to take care about the valuable perishable fruits and vegetables which otherwise would have been wasted if appropriate storage capacity has not been created in the country. So with the object of making shelf life of the commodities to increase and make the commodities available 365 days in the country, the cold storage subsidies are made available by the central government through National Horticulture Board. Rightly told by the Honorable Chairman of the Committee on MSME and Startup, an appropriate time, the ICAI has taken a decision to form a committee on MSME and Startup because it was the need, and the Honorable Prime Minister is taking appropriate steps for the development of MSME. Today, I am going to discuss about the capital investment subsidy for construction, new cold storage, expansion of existing cold storage, modernization of existing cold storage which are having outdated technologies. For which commodities? For storage of horticulture produce. There are two ministries from central government which are offering subsidy for establishing cold storage. One is Ministry of Food Processing Ministry of Food Processing Industries under MOFI scheme, Kisan Sampada Yojana, which is farm to shop, farm to plate. You can rather say from farm to plate, that is cold chain facility under Ministry of Food Processing Industries, Government of India. Whereas for horticulture produce, Ministry of Agriculture through National Horticulture Board is offering subsidy for establishing cold storage. So cold storage can be established for food processing as well as horticulture produce. Then you will ask me, what is the difference? What is the difference between horticulture produce? Horticulture produce means grape, red chili, potatoes, mangoes, then known as tomatoes. But for food processing, mean meat, fish, then grain, pulses, all type of food items like chana, besan, moong, urad, chula, chauli, chana, kabuli chana. So this comes under Ministry of Food Processing. But if anybody establishes a cold storage with a specific object of storage of horticulture produce, then Ministry of Agriculture through National Horticulture Board is offering subsidy. So it is for the construction of new cold storage, for the expansion in existing capacity of the existing cold storage, and for modernization of cold storage for horticulture produce. The subsidies are made for establishing the cold storage. Now, what is the component of this subsidy? Credit-linked projects. The first word, the foremost important thing, if anybody wants to establish a cold storage, and if he wants to avail the subsidy from National Horticulture Board, the foremost condition is that it must be a credit-linked project. What it means? Credit-linked means the project should be appraised and funded by appropriate financial institution which are approved by National Horticulture Board. A project which is self-financed by the promoter are not eligible to get the subsidy. So whenever a promoter or a chartered accountant is giving consultancy to his client, keep in his mind that the project should be credit-linked. Then only the project will be eligible to get the subsidy from NHB. So credit-linked project relating to cold storage, including controlled atmosphere, these are technical terms, and modified atmosphere, pre-cooling units, other storages for union and their modernization are eligible under this component. So keep in mind, only projects which are funded by financial institutions are eligible to get the subsidy. Now, I have established the cold storage. So does it mean that I have got the right and a privilege to claim the subsidy? Not at all. If anybody wants to establish a cold storage, the foremost requirement under NHB guidelines is that in principle approval, IPA is a must. Without in principle approval, if any entrepreneur establishes a cold storage, then Even after establishing the cold storage, he will not get the benefit of subsidy from NHB. So foremost requirement is that before applying for the bank for term loan, in principle approval is must from NHB. So we have to apply first for getting in principle approval. You cannot put a single brick on the land where you are planning to establish a cold storage without taking in principle approval. Suppose anybody has started construction on the project side, and then he apply because a person from NHB visit your premises, he takes the photograph of the premises, and after his submission of report, the appropriate authority at New Delhi, Gurgaon, at head office of the NHB approves the proposal. So if a compound wall or peat of the say foundations are if they are funded from own margin are permitted, but that is only compound wall and peat of the foundation. So making application for in principle approval under the scheme is compulsory, whether it is for new project, whether it is for construction of or expansion of the project, or for the modernization of the project. So where to apply for in principle approval? There is a very systematic, well dedicated, well created website of the National Horticulture Board. How to visit the website? www.nhb.gov.in is the official website of the National Horticulture Board, where you can make an application for in principle approval. I am putting in front of you the exact known as a portal of the NHB, from where existing application, if an existing applicant, then I will have select existing application, and if I am a new applicant, I will select the new application icon, then applicant name, Aadhaar card, mobile number, email ID, and an OTP will come, and after that you can make the application for in principle application. List of documents required for in principle approval. Applicant, self-attested PAN card, voter card, self-attested Aadhaar card of the applicant. In case of company, partnership firm, certificate of incorporation, memorandum of association, board resolution permitting the investment, caste certificate. In case of SC, ST, and self-attested by the caste holder, and undertaking from the promoter applicant in prescribed format. The format is given on the website of the NHB. So after submission of these documents, then as far as the land is concerned, the land should be either owned by the promoter, or it can be taken on lease by the promoter to establish the cold storage. So these are the documents. You can go to the website from where you can get the list of the documents. As far as the land is related, these are as far as the applicants are concerned, these must have the document. As far as the land is concerned, NA is not compulsory. In case of in principle approval, you can make the industrial convention after getting the in principle approval. So NA is not compulsory. The land should not be necessarily in the name of the applicant. Even registered lease deed is a sufficient compliance to get the project. Then detailed project report. Normally what happens in principle approval stage, we prepare project profile, but that will not help. A template is given on the official website of the NHB on the suggestive lines of the NHB model DPR templates. 113 pages template is given on the official website of the NHB, and on that that model template you have to prepare the project report. Otherwise your project report will be rejected. So detailed project report, site layout plan, blueprint in case of cold storage is prepared by a chartered engineer. एक sketch pencil से बना के submit किया, that will not help. You have to approach to the appropriate architect who has done in his life, say at least 2 or 3 cold storage. From them only you prepare the appropriate cold storage layout plan. Basic data sheet. It is very important, and a technical basic data sheet which has to be prepared by the say a mechanical engineer or chartered engineer or a refrigeration engineer for because it contains the heat load calculation, number of chambers, what type of commodities will be stored, what will be the size of the cold storage chambers, all these technical standards and specification prescribed. See, somebody construct a cold storage, but it is not according to the technical standard prescribed by NHB. And even after construction of the cold storage, if it does not meet to the standard prescribed by NHB, even at that stage also, which is known as a final inspection of the cold storage, the subsidy can be rejected. So whenever an entrepreneur is establishing a cold storage and appointing an architect or a civil contractor or a refrigeration contractor, take an undertaking from him that he will construct the cold storage, taking into consideration the technical standard specification prescribed by NHB. Because ultimately, what is the object? And please keep in your mind the first and foremost important thing: without NHB subsidy, the cold storage is not viable financially. So, if the cold storage subsidy is rejected, either the ROI of the cold storage will start after 15 years or 10 years or 8 years, depending upon the location. And if you get an cold storage subsidy sanctioned and disbursed from NHB, the break-even point can be 3 to 4 years. But without cold storage subsidy, and if it is rejected by the NHB officials, the break-even point will be 8 years and more. So that is the importance of the technical standards and specification during the construction stage of the cold storage. Don't violate single standards specification prescribed by NHB. If you make a deviation and do something else to save your cost, rest assured that even if you call to the Prime Minister of India, your subsidy is not going to be sanctioned. That much strictness is with NHB. NHB is not going to consider any deviation. That what I have experienced in my life as a consultant for establishing the cold storage. Now, cost of application. When you are uploading the application along with the documents which are necessary, duly self-attested, the applicant is supposed to pay online the process fee for getting the in-principle approval. So up to 20 lakh, the cost of application is 2,000 rupees. Normally, a cold storage of 5,000 and above metric ton capacity cost more than 5 crore or 10 crore according to which temperature the entrepreneur is establishing a cold storage. So now, previously, the maximum fee was only 10,000 rupees. Now it has been increased up to 50,000 rupees. So the applicant has to submit along with the in-principle application online by net banking or credit or debit card rupees 50,000 as a process fee for getting the in-principle approval. This is the official site of the NHB from where you can track your application. See, these are the scheme guidelines, development of commercial. Our scheme for cold storage is known as a scheme number 2. NHB credit linked back-ended subsidy scheme number 1 and scheme number 2. As far as cold storages are concerned, for which we are going to discuss today, capital investment subsidy scheme for construction, expansion, modernization of cold storage, and for horticulture produce. Applicant eligibility, that way I am going to. So here NHB interactive, very interactive portal is created. Track your in-principle application, progress achievement, find so you can track the application on the NHB website. So how to select the site .nhb.gov.in? You go to the scheme guidelines. Here the scheme number 1, horticulture, and these schemes will come. If you go and here register is there. So you can register from this icon for your application for in-principle approval. So credit linked back-ended subsidy scheme. What is, I told you, credit linked. If the project is not funded by financial institution, keep in your mind no subsidy. Back-ended. What is the meaning of back-ended? Whatever subsidy will be received by the cold storage owner, it will not be transferred to his current account. It will not be transferred to his loan account. Then what it will be done? Whatever subsidy from NHB will come, it will be transferred to the bank which is funding to the cold storage, and it will be kept in the fixed deposit reserve fund, deposit reserve fund account of the borrower. And on that reserve FDR, bank is not going to give you interest. So cold storage owner को interest नहीं मिलेगा. So what is the benefit of keeping the FDR in fixed deposit by the bank without earning interest? On the similar amount of the FDR, which is received by NHB in the form of subsidy, the bank is not going to charge you interest. अगर आपको 2 करोड़ का subsidy मिला, तो bank will keep the FDR of rupees 2 crore, and on the loan amount of 2 crore, bank will, suppose you have taken a loan of 3 crore and you got a subsidy of 2 crore. So 3 crore minus 2 crore, only on 1 crore the bank will charge you interest. So that is known as back-ended subsidy. So NHB linked a back-ended subsidy scheme, capital investment subsidy scheme for construction, expansion, modernization. If you go to the scheme guidelines, applicant eligibility, who are eligible to make the technical standard, basic data sheet and protocol. As I told you, you have to adhere to the technical standard prescribed by NHB. You have to submit the basic data sheet, and the basic data sheet is the conclusive directions which you have accepted that my cold storage will be according to this standard which is incorporated in the basic data sheets. Then budgetary allocation by the state and union territories, in principle approval guidelines, cost of application as I told you, list of document as I told you which are supposed to be attached with the online applications. Guidelines for C, as I told you, after the completions of cold storage, a joint inspection team under special circumstances, reJIT, if the cold storage is not constructed according to the technical specification, then the JIT of the central government, state government and bankers, they will make an inspection and they will point out the deficiencies, and after fulfilling of the deficiencies, a reJIT can be undertaken. Post-subsidy release advisories to the beneficiary banks, list of documents to be enclosed along with the subsidy claim by the bankers. When the final subsidy claims are to be made by the bankers, the claim is routed through the banker who has financed the project. Normally, we practicing chartered accountants or consultant, they become facilitator between the banker, the NHB and the project owner to prepare the documents, to make the applications, to prepare the final inspection report, final claim documents, format of subsidy claim by project completion certificate, date-wise term. So these are the formats given in the website. See, the website is very clear, interactive. See, if any chartered accountant is interested to become a consultant, in just devote a week of your life for understanding the National Horticulture Board, please download the formats, print it out, keep in a single file, and as and when you get the time, read those, then you will come to know the guidelines for getting the subsidy sanction from NHB. See, here you will come to know how much projects are so far funded by NHB. Am I audible or visible? Because light has gone at my premises.
Yes, sir, you are.
Okay. My screen is also visible. No? Okay, sorry.
Yes, sir.
So see, as far as India is concerned, National Horticulture Mission has sanctioned so far 1,249 projects. National Horticulture Board has disbursed and sanctioned 2,701 projects. MOFI, as I told you, Ministry of Food Processing Industries, has sanctioned and disbursed 241 projects in India, APIDA 81 project and NCDC 48 project. And these are the total subsidy sanction 93,343 lakhs, NHB 1,29,586. So see the opportunities available to we chartered accountant. If a chartered accountant who understands the schemes of NHB and become a facilitator, a mentor, a guidance to the entrepreneurs who is establishing a cold storage, I am sure that the entrepreneur is not going to lose the subsidy. There are number of cold storages in the country who has established the cold storage, but their subsidy from NHB is rejected because they have not taken the in principle approval, or they have applied to the bank before taking the in principle approval. Their loan is sanctioned before in principle assured, so they have lost the subsidy. So that much importance for the stages. उसको आप बोलते हैं ना, PERT and CPM, critical path method or performance evaluation technique, which step to be completed first and which step should be completed later on. So this way, the number of cold storage approved by the various authorities in the country and the amount sanctions by those enterprises to them. Then friends, everybody interested to know how much percentage of subsidy is sanctioned by the NHB. As far as general area is concerned, what means general area? These big buildings, metro cities, SkyTrain. So where all the metro cities, all the municipal council or Mahanagarpalika area, the subsidy will be 35% of the project cost. And as far as the tribal area is concerned, ITDP area, Integrated Tribal Development Plan area, tribal subplan area, all hilly area, the subsidy will be 50% of the project cost, which is known as a schedule area. Schedule area के लिए project cost के 50% subsidy. और general area के लिए that 35% of the project cost will be offered in the form of subsidy. So this way the subsidy is offered by NHB according to the location of the cold storage. Either it will be 35%, and if the cold storage is established in a schedule area, then it is 50%. Then Seven Sister, northeast part of India, the subsidy, whether it is in metro region or so, the subsidy will be at the rate of 50% of the project cost. So Sikkim, Meghalaya, Assam, Nagaland, Arunachal Pradesh, Manipur, Mizoram, Tripura, Seven Sister, which is known as 50% of the project cost will be offered in the form of subsidy. So very attractive benefit. 50% of your capex will be reimbursed by NHB. That's why I told you, if the entrepreneurs does not fulfill the guidelines, if he does not take the IPL, how much amount he is going to sacrifice in the form of subsidy? Either 35% or 50% of the project cost. So huge loss, unviability. The break-even point will be enlarged, and if the subsidy will be received with the fulfillment of condition, the break-even point will be reduced. So that much importance to the subsidy. How to calculate the capacity of the cold storage? Because the capacity of the cold storage is limited. See, here I mentioned especially in case of Northeast states, the project with a capacity of up to minimum capacity 1,000 metric ton or above are also eligible. And rest of the country, the minimum capacity of the cold storage should be 5,000 metric ton. Above 5,000 metric ton cold storage only will be eligible to get the subsidy from NHB. A specific relaxation is given to Seven Sister, the Northeast, that a cold storage having capacity above 1,000 metric ton is also eligible to get the subsidy. So the capacity is very important. If a person is establishing a cold storage having less than 5,000 metric ton capacity, then he cannot apply to NHB for taking the subsidy. Then which is the agency which will give the subsidy? The agency for giving subsidy up to 5,000 metric ton cold storage capacity will be state national horticulture mission, and each and every state of the country, there in agriculture department, there is a state horticulture mission, and we are discussing about National Horticulture Board. NHB will be giving subsidy having capacity more than 5,000 metric ton capacity. From 100 metric ton till 5,000 metric ton capacity, the subsidy will be disbursed by state horticulture mission. Then how to calculate the capacity? It is a technical terms. The length of the cold storage in meter, not in square feet or running feet. Length in meter, width in meter, and height in meter. This multiplication and the maximum permissible height as per NHB norms is 15 meter height is permitted. If the cold storage is constructed above 15 meter height, then the above 15 meter height के ऊपर का जितना area होगा, it will not be considered for calculation of the capacity. So length in meter multiplied by width in meter multiplied by height in meter divided by 3.4 is equal to the capacity of the cold storage. Suppose, for example, the length in meter of the cold storage is 35, the width of the cold storage is 35, and the height of the cold storage is 15 divided by 3.47, then the capacity of the cold storage will be 5,400. Sir, whenever a client comes to him, don't tell him to have exact 5,001 metric ton capacity, because at the time of final inspection of the cold storage, if due to the technical problem or the construction problem, the capacity is gone below 5,000 metric ton, the cold storage owner may miss the subsidy which is eligible to him. So always have a cold storage having capacity of more than 5,400 or 5,000 and above. And the ideal capacity for establishing the cold storage can be up to 6,000 metric ton. जिसको viable, financially, techno-economically, financially viable project will be up to 6,000 metric ton capacity for horticulture produce. As far as the metro cities are concerned, particularly Mumbai, Chennai, Bangalore, Hyderabad, Nagpur, Delhi, Jaipur, the appropriate capacity, because normally the cold storage are established as consumption center, जहां बिकता है परंतु पिकता नहीं है, where it is consumed but not produced. So metro cities are the appropriate location where a cold storage can be established, because you can transport the unripened fruits in the cold storages and store in the cold storage as the metro cities during the flush season. And those stored commodities in flush season can be sold in lean season when the arrival of those fruits and vegetables are not in the market or in the farm. So this way, the capacity of the cold storage is calculated. And I told you, the subsidy will be 35% of the capital cost of the project in general area and 50% in case of northeast hilly states, that is Himachal and Uttaranchal, or say Jammu and Kashmir, and scheduled area for storage capacity above 5,000 metric ton and up to 10,000 metric ton only. So if anybody establishes a cold storage having capacity more than 10,000 metric ton, then only up to 10,000 metric ton capacity, the cold storage will be eligible to get the subsidy at 35% or 50% of the cost of the project. And I told you how the capacity is calculated. The formula is given for calculation of capacity: 3.4 cubic meter or 120 cubic feet of a chamber volume shall be considered equivalent to 1 metric ton. So 1 metric ton is equal to 3.4 square cubic meter storage capacity. Now, as I told you, cost of project, capital cost of the project. So what the capital cost of the project means, we practicing chartered accountant know. whatever cost is incurred for the establishment of cold storage, which includes land cost, building cost, machinery cost, compound wall cost, preliminary expenses, pre-operative expenses, is the cost of project. But as far as NHB is concerned, they have prescribed the upper limit of the cost of project for various capacities of the cold storage and various types of the cold storage. What means various? Plus temperature cold storage, having temperature from 1 Celsius degree to 15 degrees Celsius. Cold storage having temperature from 0 degrees Celsius to minus 40 degrees Celsius. A blast technology, which is for meat and fish. So, according to the type of cold storage, the cost norms are prescribed by NHB. So, if any entrepreneurs incurred more than that cost, the cost will be restricted, capacity multiplied per metric ton cost. So this chart is very important for all of us to understand about up to what capacity, what cost can be considered by NHB. Cold storage type number 1, basic mezzanine structure with a large chamber, each chamber having capacity to store more than 250 metric ton with a single temperature zone, multi-commodity, multi-temperature, multi-commodity, multi-chamber, single temperature cold storage. What are the cost norms? So, capacity up to 5,000 metric ton at the rate of rupees 8,000. अगर कोई बंदा 100 metric ton से 5,000 metric ton का cold storage लगाता है, the cost per metric ton will be considered by NHB up to 8,000 rupees. So suppose a person has established a cold storage of say 5,000 metric ton. 5,000 multiplied by 8,000 will be 4 crore. So the entrepreneur will be eligible to get subsidy if it is in general area 35% of 4 crore, or if it is in a northeast or a specified area, scheduled area, then it is 50% means 2 crore. So this way the subsidy will be disbursed. And if the capacity of the cold storage owner is say from 5,001 to 6,500 metric ton capacity, then the cost will be considered at 7,600 per metric ton. And if the entrepreneurs incurred more than this cost, then the cost will be restricted to 7,600. And if the entrepreneur is smart enough, अगर वो बोलता मैंने 7,000 रुपए पर मेट्रिक टन से ही बना लिया, then his subsidy will be dispersed on 7,000 rupees per metric ton. So lesser the cost, that cost will be considered. If the higher the cost will be restricted to 7,600 if the capacity is between 5,001 to 6,500 metric ton. If the capacity is between 6,501 to 8,000 metric ton, the cost will be restricted to 7,200. If the capacity is 8,001 to 10,000, because that is the upper limit, so the cost will be considered at 6,800 rupees. अगर कोई बंदा 10,000 metric ton का cold storage लगाता है, of this type, the cost will be considered by NHB 6 crore 80 lakh rupees only. Now come to the next, cold storage units type 2, pre-engineer building, PEB building or pub panel building, type multiple temperature. Here single temperature, ऊपर क्या था? Single temperature. Here multiple temperature. Different chamber is having different temperature. Some chamber is having -5, some chamber is having -10, some chamber is having -40, some chamber is having 0 temperature, particularly for grapes and this 0 temperature. So cold storage with multiple temperature and product use, multi-product, multi-temperature, multi-chamber cold storage. More than 6 chambers having capacity to store less than 250 metric ton, the cost will be 10,000 rupees per metric ton up to 5,000 metric ton, 5,001 to 6,500, 9,500, 6,500 to 8,000 metric ton, 9,000 rupees per metric ton, 8,001 to 10,000 metric ton, 8,500 rupees. अगर 10,000 मैट्रिक टन का कोई कोल्ड स्टोरेज मल्टीपल टेम्परेचर का बनाता है तो द कास्ट विल बी 8 crore 50 lakh, and on that cost the subsidy will be disbursed to the cold storage owner. So this is the importance of the capital cost of the project, not what you incurred in your books of accounts. So the cost will be restricted to the norms prescribed by NHB, and up to that extent only you are eligible to get the subsidy. Add-on components are also, if an entrepreneurs make additional investment in value additions in the cold storage, then he will be eligible to get. These are the descriptions of the add-on components, particularly this 15 number: alternate technology, vapor absorption, solar. If the entrepreneur establishes a solar power on the rooftop of the cold storage, then 100% of the invoice cost, subject to maximum 35 lakh rupees, will be disbursed as an add-on facility for establishing the cold storage. So rooftop, and 99% of the cold storage in the country, they are establishing rooftop solar panel and availing 35 lakh rupees in the form of subsidy. So you are getting subsidy for establishing the cold storage as well for add-on facility or rooftop solar panel also, but it be only captive consumption. Third place location, remote location rooftop solars are established, then you cannot get the benefit of those rooftop solar power at the location of your cold storage. So the solar panels should be established at the location where the cold storage is established. Remote location solar panel installations are not eligible to get the subsidy. So up to 5,000 metric ton at the rate of 8,000, the 4 crore will be the cost. 35% से 1 crore 40 lakh, 50% से 2 crore बैठेगा. If the cold storage is in between this range, 7,600 will be the cost. This will be the cost considered by NHB. Then 35% say 1 crore 72 lakh, 50% say 2 crore 47 lakh. If the cold storage is having this much range of capacity, 7,200 will be the cost, 5 crore 76, 2 crore. See the importance of the subsidy. The part the subsidy pays and the part the location is important. क्या मैंने अगर 50% वाले लोकेशन में कोल्ड स्टोरेज लगाया 5 crore 76 lakh का, 2 crore 80 lakh, 88 lakh is a big amount. And if anybody misses this amount, what the loss the entrepreneur will have? Then up to 10,000 metric ton, 6,000 and at rate 6 crore 80 lakh. If the location falls under 35% metro cities, 2 crore 38 lakh will be the subsidy. And if the location falls under 50% location, the subsidy will be 3 crore 40 lakh. And minus temperature, blah, blah, as I told you, 10,000, 5 crore, this much will be the, for 8,000, 10,000 metric, 10,000 metric ton capacity in minus temperature, 8,000, 8 crore 50 lakh cost, 4 crore 25 lakh will be the subsidy. So how much loss to the entrepreneur? So that much importance to the subsidy. Now you will ask me, which are the ITDP areas, which are the schedule areas, which are the TSPs area. So if you, the list is given over here, but if you Google ITDP area or tribal subplan area, or you have to approach to the Sarpanch or the Talathi or Tahsildar of your Gram Panchayat or the location where your cold storage is established, you will get the certificate from the Tahsildar or the Taluka head of the blocks that whether that location falls under that location or not. As far as Andhra Pradesh is concerned, West Godavari 7 blocks, Pudderu, Vishakhapatnam 18 blocks, Parivartapuram, Vizag Nagar 14. So this list is given as far as Nellore. So as far as Andhra Pradesh is concerned, there are 8 ITDAs area, 7 districts, 66 blocks where you can get 50% subsidy. Bihar, there is no ITDP area as far as Chhattisgarh. Chhattisgarh, there are 21 districts, 98 blocks, which are identified as a ITDP or TSP area, where an entrepreneur who is establishing cold storage get 50%. Goa, no ITDP area. Fish and meat product can be stored. Gujarat, Ahwa, Chota Udaipur, Dahod, Ked Brahma, Mandvi, Palanpur, Rajpipla, Songad, Vansada, Bharuch, Godhra, Valsad, 12 ITDPs, 12 districts, 42 talukas from Gujarat. Himachal Pradesh, Chamba, Kinnur, 5 ITDP, 3 districts, 7 blocks. Jharkhand, 15 districts, 133 blocks. Biggest opportunities for the people of Jharkhand to establish the cold storage, because you are eligible to get 50% subsidy. Karnataka, 5 districts, 30 talukas are eligible to get 50 districts. Kerala, 7 districts, 50 blocks, 50% subsidy. Madhya Pradesh, biggest benefit, and Madhya Pradesh is having big opportunities as far as potatoes are concerned. मध्य प्रदेश में इंदौर, धार, प्रीतमपुर, महू, ये जो एरिया है, यहाँ पर बहुत बड़े पैमाने पे कोल्ड स्टोरेज बने हुए हैं. 23 डिस्ट्रिक्ट, 128 ब्लॉक्स टू गेट 50% सब्सिडी. महाराष्ट्र, देर आर अबाउट, महाराष्ट्र में 36 डिस्ट्रिक्ट, 357 तहसील्स are eligible to get the subsidy at 50%. Various talukas are given. Odisha, 119 blocks, 13 districts. Rajasthan, 5 districts, 18 tahsils. Tamil Nadu, 7 districts, 12 blocks. Telangana, 4 districts, 72 mandals. Uttarakhand, there is no. Uttar Pradesh, 1 district, 2 blocks. West Bengal, around 60 districts, 273 blocks are notified as ITDP or TSP areas. Assam, Manipur, as I told you, eligible to get 50% subsidy. All the 7 sisters area. Majority states in tribal area, Arunachal, Meghalaya, Mizoram, Nagaland are eligible to get 50% subsidy. So, cold storage funding, if the cold storage are funded from foreign country, foreign direct investment, 100% foreign direct investment is permitted in cold storage. So if anybody take foreign direct investment or take foreign direct loans, 100% foreign direct investment is now permitted, and double-digit growth in total FDI inflow from 2018 to 2020-21. There is a highest growth. So those who are interested, they can get a very cheap finance through foreign direct investment, credit linked, as I told you, infrastructure activity, what are needed for established National Horticulture Board, registered lease deed, no work of the project exemplary. As I told you, you cannot start no work of the project except preliminary work, wise fencing, compound wall with gate, land leveling, digging of the pits in open cultivation project shall be started without obtaining final clearance of NHB. So if you start any construction act, अगर plinth भी आपने बना लिया तो your project will be rejected. आप ये नहीं बोल सकते साहब हमको प्लिंथ को 1 लाख या 5 लाख खर्चा हुआ, उतना छोड़ के बाकी के खर्चे पे हमको सब्सिडी दे दो. The entire project will be rejected. Entire project. So much importance to in principle approval. I think this is a red tapeism. This is a wrong treatment by NHB. It delayed the construction of the cold storage. See, normally it took around 4 months to 6 months to get the in principle approval, and then only you and shall be started without obtaining final NHB, and the term loan should be applied after getting in principle approval. तो इन प्रिंसिपल अप्रूवल मिलता तब तक हम लॉग इन भी नहीं कर सकते बैंक के पास टर्म लोन के लिए. So first the in principle approval should be received, and after that in principle approval you can log in to the financial institution for your term loan proposal. Before that even you cannot log in to the bank for your term loan proposal. So this way these are the terms and conditions. As I told you, the lending bank financial should ensure that essential detail such as name of the applicant. So this NHB is thinking that The bankers are expert in their terms and conditions. They are well trained. The loan officer has to take into consideration the guidelines prescribed by NHB. The branch manager who is sanctioning my proposal should be well equipped about the guidelines of the NHB, which is beyond comparison, beyond possibility. कैसे पता हो सकता है एक बैंकर्स को what are the guidelines of the NHB? So these are the typical pictures of the cold storage where these wooden chalis are spread, and this is the pup panel cold storage, particularly pup panel, and this way the red chilies are stored in the cold storage. Here the onions and garlics are stored. This is the lip through which the material is transported, and this way the bags are stored. These are the pathway to take the delivery of the cold storage. These are the typical cold storage in which the grapes and horticulture produce, strawberry and heavy high value commodities like akhroad and all these things are stored. This is particularly a pup panel. See the cleanliness inside the cold storage. These are the stacking racks. These are the outer walls. This is known as a dhakka, from where materials are loaded and unloaded in the cold storages. This is a very attractive cold storage. This is the cleanliness inside the cold storage. These are the various pictures of this is a famous cold storage from Nasik. This is a pre-construction and after insulation. See the picture before insulation. This is a pup panel cold storage from outside. This is a structure of the cold storage, conventional insulation, modern cold storages, pup panel cold storage, swing doors. Doors are very important for sliding doors are there, swing doors are there. These are the various machineries of the cold storage. These are the compressor room. See the cleanliness and all these things in the cold storage. Because horticulture and floriculture produce are stored in the cold storage. These are all the compressor through which the cooling is sprayed inside the cold storages. These are compressors, various types of. So this way I told you about the cold storage. The subsidies made available. SFAC is another organization in New Delhi which is offering interest-free term loan up to 50 lakh rupees for establishing the cold storage. Small Farmers Agribusiness Consortium is the agency which is giving venture capital assistance for establishing the cold storage. These are the entities which are eligible to get the venture capital assistance from SFAC in the form of interest-free soft loan, which has to be repaid when the last installment of term loan is paid. How much is the venture capital assistance made available by SFAC? It is 26% of the promoter's capital, subject to maximum 50 lakh rupees. And as far as these northeastern region, Delhi state, Uttarakhand, Himachal Pradesh, Jammu Kashmir, and in case of the farmer producer organization, the quantum of venture capital will be 40% of the promoter's equity, subject to maximum 50 lakh. And this is SFAC provides interest-free venture capital to agribusiness projects by way of soft loan to supplement the financial grant. So it is a soft loan. It is not a subsidy. It has to be repaid when the last installment of the term loan is repaid. Till that period, the venture capital assistance will remain with the entrepreneurs in the form of interest-free loan. So this way I have put before you the National Horticulture Board, which is offering subsidy for establishing the cold storage in the entire nation. The subsidy percentage are from 35% to 50% of the project cost. How the project cost is calculated, as I have given you the norms prescribed by NHB. So friends, if you are interested and if your clients are interested to establish the cold storages all over India, the only official document from where you can get all the information is the official website of NHB, which is nhb.gov.in. Very interactive. All the information is given over there. In addition to that, in each state of the country, there is a regional office or area office of the NHB. The list of the area offices are given in the website. Their contact details are given. The area manager name is given. You can contact those persons and get your query solved. With this, I stop over there. Thanks to giving me this opportunity by MS Summit Committee. Over to headquarters at New Delhi. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Modi ji, for your detailed discussion on this horticulture and cold storage subsidy. I think a lot of inquiries and questions are coming from the participant about please share your project report, and a lot of other questions are there. I'll take up all this query at the end. And now I'll invite Bhavesh Thakkarji, who's a chartered accountant as well as partner in the EY, and he's handling the transaction practice and we're practicing on the subsidies of the central and state government. So I invite Bhavesh Thakkarji to this webinar. Bhavesh Thakkarji, are you there?
Yeah, good evening. Good evening to everyone. So please let me know.
Your video is not coming. Your picture is not coming.
Okay. No, it's my.
Now it's
my screen visible?
Now it's fine.
Yeah. Okay. I'll just present the screen here. Please let me know once it is done.
Yes, visible.
Yeah. Thank you for that introduction, Dheeraj ji, and good evening to all of you. And thank you, Modi ji, for giving a very elaborate discussion and rather outlook on the whole subsidy of this National Horticulture Board. So along with this, what we thought was relevant today was a discussion around the PLI scheme, which is there. And this is, let me tell you, a very, very good subsidy, friends. So largely the intention is to incentivize production, if I want to put that. So let me give you a brief background of what was the intent of PLI, why this was being brought in, and how this will really work. So the intention of PLI is to obviously encourage domestic manufacturing for promotion of exports. And there were many sectors where we were losing a lot of foreign exchange, probably. So those were the sectors which were being picked up to have a higher substitution of imports, if I want to say. So to save that foreign exchange, this was being bought up. So this is all a part of the Atmanirbhar package, if I want to say. So this was really an initiative under that. So they have handpicked 13 sectors into this, 12, I would say. So there were 3 sectors which came in last year, and there were 9 new sectors which came in the current year. Now, how the intention of PLI is and how it really works is, if you see, this is a percentage on your incremental turnover. So what this scheme says, that you have an incremental turnover and you will get this subsidy. So the intention is really to give production-based subsidy. See, they had given many subsidies in the past, but what has happened, it was spread very thin and people were not able to, the government was not able to actually see what is the outcome of these schemes actually. So that's why what they have done is they have given a link to the production. So this is for incentive for global and domestic players in each of the sectors, and we will take 3 schemes much in detail actually. The eligibility largely in these schemes is based on incremental investment and capacity or sale turnover criteria. And as we told that this will be a sort of a percentage of sale turnover, which will come back to you. To take a minute here on the process, see that everyone who is eligible under the PLI, that does not mean that he will be eligible for the subsidy also. So you may meet the criteria of PLI scheme, but you may still not be getting the subsidy because there will be a ranking system which will be here. So what the government has done in all these schemes, so you put the application if you are meeting those criteria. They have, at least in food processing, I would say, on the various sectors which have been notified in the food processing, they are not looking at more than 125 to 150 players or probably 100 players in this country who will get this subsidy. So there will be a certain ranking system which will be devised. So IFCI is a project management agency, and they will appraise the file. Then you will get the approval, and then on a year-to-year basis, you keep claiming those subsidies which are there. So if you moving ahead, there was a very encouraging response to the PLI schemes which were already launched. So if you see, these 4 schemes are now complete. So the application cannot be made now in this 4 schemes. So that all is done now. So if you see the mobile phone and specified electronic components, the total budgetary allocation for this scheme was 41,000 crores. And this scheme came on 1st April 2020, and now it is closed. So if you see the amount of investment which has been committed, 11,000 crores of investment has been committed by this scheme. And that's a very, so if you see, you must have read newspapers, okay, Apple starts its manufacturing through their contract manufacturers, Wistron, Pegatron, that were all availing benefits under this scheme. The total budgetary allocation for the PLI scheme is around 1,97,000 crores. So that's a very healthy subsidy, you would say, friends. So, and what they have done here is, we also understand that they are going to probably look at opening an escrow kind of an account where they are able to keep a tab on what is being dispersed. So it is not you use it for some other cause and the subsidy is not actually dispersed. So that is also an important point. Critical medical drugs and manufacturing of medical devices also at 7,000 and 3,000 crores of investment, or rather the subsidy being granted. And the committed investment is almost 5,000 crores and 730 crores in this sector. So this was largely what the 4 policies which already ended in last year. Now let's look at where we stand today. So of this 9 schemes, what you see on the screen just now, you have 6 schemes which are already notified. The schemes have been announced. For some, the portal is also open. For some, the guidelines are awaited. And there are 3 schemes in the pipeline. So you have automobile and auto components, specialty steel and textile products, which have still not received the cabinet approval. There are some discussions going on in this. So that's how this scheme will be announced. But largely, if you see these 6 schemes, the things have been announced now. And looking at the general interest and larger base, we have decided to cover today food products, the pharma, and white goods, ACs, and LED as for discussion today. And obviously, we can take the others also at a later date once those schemes are announced. As we also understand, the government will also announce newer sectors. It will be for semiconductor, display, wearables, hearables, IoT devices. We also understand there will be a PLI for chemicals. There will be a PLI for toys. So the messaging, probably what we are trying to put here is, this is going to be the template of incentives for central government in India. You invest, you sell, you do an incremental sale, you go build up your capacities and get that subsidy. That's how simply this is going to work. So this is largely a model which was followed by Korea 10 to 15 years back. So if you look at the 5 or 6 large players in Korea, which was LG, Samsung, so they were being told to increase the capacities and make them champion players to compete on a global level. So largely that model is being followed if you look at this PLI scheme, the production linked incentive scheme. So let's come to more specific now on the PLI for food processing scheme. So this is, I will say, a large interest amongst the investors. The cabinet approval for the scheme was received on 31st March 2021. And now 17 June is the last date for application under this scheme. And this just opened on 2nd May and 17 June is the last date. We'll come to those nitty-gritties. We are expecting the date to go ahead probably by 15-20 days because that's too short a period actually if you see. Now, what is the objective here? The objective here is obviously to support creation of global manufacturing, food manufacturing champions and promote Indian brands of food products in the international markets. So if you see many of the cases, friends, you look at Bikanerwala, Haldiram, Chitle Bandhu, they have a very product which is known very much in India, but globally are they known? So those kind of global manufacturing champions is something what needs to be built in, and that is the intention. And we'll come to the subsidy components also. The scheme is for a period of 6 years, and it will be 21, 22 to 26, 27, how the scheme would work. the total budgetary allocation for this scheme, the food processing scheme, is 10,900 crores. The detailed operational guidelines and everything have been issued on 2nd May. And as I told you, 17th June, just now at this point of time, is the last date. Now, what they have done here is they have divided this subsidy into 3 categories. So the first category is for the champion players, what we discussed. So this will be restricted to probably a 50 or 60 applicants. Second category, they have come up for the SME sector. And third, they have come up with a branding and marketing subsidy. So let's take each of them separately. Now, in the food category, the segment, they have divided this into 4 categories: ready to cook, ready to eat, processed foods and vegetables, marine segment, and mozzarella cheese. So if you look at the heading, ready to cook, ready to eat, you will feel this is a very, very restrictive scheme. But let me also show you the products which will qualify. I will show you in the next slide, the products which will qualify, and you will see that most of the products and jams, sauces, flavored milk, buttermilk, all of this would qualify in any of these sectors. Now, what they are saying here is that your minimum sale in 1920 has to be 500 crores, 250 crores, 600 crores, depending on the sector. Now, here what they have given a clarification is that it is not that the ready to cook, ready to eat segment may have a 500 crore turnover. It may be lesser than that. But if your total food segment turnover is above 500, you will be eligible to invest in this scheme. Though the limits, friends, apparently seem to be very, very high, let me tell you, when we started talking to clients, we realized that there is a lot of companies in this sector also which have that kind of a turnover across India. So if you cross that threshold in 1920, they have kept 1920 as a base year for all these schemes, because 2021 has not been taken because it was a pandemic year. And 1920, if you see, the lockdown affected probably only 7 or 8 days if 22nd March was a lockdown date. So they have taken 1920 as the base year. The minimum investment on each of these sectors has also been defined, that 100 crores, 50 crores and 75 crores are going on. Now for investment, what they are saying, land will not be considered as an eligible project cost, but technical building, boundary walls and all that will be considered, and plant and machinery will obviously be considered as an eligible project cost. Now for calculation of this minimum investment, they are giving you 3 years. So even the investment what you have done in last year from 1/4/20 to 21 would be considered 21-22 and 22-23. So that's how you will be eligible under this scheme. Now we'll come to what is the subsidy. Similar to the food category, the second one is SME category which they have brought in. So in all the above sectors or the segments of food, if you are a SME, the condition here is an SME obviously registered with the Udyam registration what we are having. The SME has to have a minimum sale of 1 crore in 1920. And you should have an innovative and organic product. Now, obviously, friends, what is innovative? It's always a subjective concept. Like what I will feel as innovative may not be what you feel as innovative. So obviously, there will be some interpretation out there. And we'll come to what the subsidy is about. So SME has been treated at par with these 4 segments, though the budgetary allocation is much high for these 4. So if I give an understanding here, out of 10,900 crores, SME segment has been given a concession of 250 crores. So 250 crores has been allotted to this sector, and branding and marketing has 1,500 crores. So what is this branding and marketing subsidy? And we'll come to the next slide, how it actually works. So what is the category 1 which we saw of this RTE, RTC? What is the subsidy? The subsidy is 10% of your incremental sale. So what it talks about, that 31st March 2020 is your base year. Suppose your turnover for that year was 100, and now your turnover in 21-22 is 150. I'm just taking a very simple example. So on 50, you will get a 10% subsidy, which is 5 crores. So looking at the incremental sale, so for the first 4 years, where the subsidy rate is 10%, you will be getting as a base year of 1920. So for the first 4 years, the base year will be 1920. So in first year, if the turnover is 150, the subsidy is 5 crores. If in the second year, the turnover is 160 and you have a 60 crore incremental, the subsidy is 6 crores. Only for the last 2 years, the incremental year is 21-22 and 22-23. The base year would be 21-22 and 22-23. Same for processed fruits and vegetables, same for marine products, and same for mozzarella cheese. And marine products, what they are saying is that for a normal marine products, it is 6%. But for a value add marine products, it is 10%. So that's a very handsome subsidy what you are looking at. So if you actually total all this, what we are seeing, and if the turnover and what they are expecting, and if you look at the larger companies and 100 crores or 75 crores of investment, we are looking at almost 200% of the project cost coming back over a period of 6 or 7 years. So the range may be different for different sectors, but I should say around 125 to 200% is something what we are looking as a subsidy. Now, category 2, which was the thing on SME segment. SME segment also, if you qualify to be innovative, you can actually claim the same subsidies, the same percentages which are there. So the percentages are the same, and it will be 10%, 10%. So this is a very, very good opportunity for SMEs who are registered, who are there as a SME on 1920 and fulfilling the Udyam conditions which are there. Category 3 of branding and marketing, this I guess is also a very, very good subsidy. If you see players, larger players will qualify to this. Out of, I will say 60 or 70 of them, SME would be many of them, and branding and marketing also, they have given a 1,500 crore budgetary allocation for them. What they are saying, and this does not have any turnover or those conditions, so any company can qualify. So if you are having a foreign spend to or exports rather, and you want to popularize your Indian brands abroad, and you have a budget of 5 crores over a period of 5 years, you are expected to incur 5 crores over a period of 5 years, you will get 50% grant on the expenditure made, subject to a limit of 3% of sales. So a very, very good subsidy. So if companies are looking at spending 6 or 7 crores, and this also we have checked, many companies do that spending. If companies are spending 6 or 7 crores on foreign branding, you can expect 50% of that coming back to you as a subsidy. So I'll say again, a very, very good scheme, which needs to be looked at and availed. Now, what they have done here is they have given some rating criteria out here. So category 1 is the one which we saw, which talked about the ready to cook, ready to eat and those sectors. They have given a weightage to innovative organic. What is the weightage? So let's concentrate on the SME one, where it is talking about that what was your sale for 1920, what is your committed investment, what is your CAGR, and this will be very qualitative characteristics which will be put out here. So when they talk about here, like what is your brand recognition, how innovative is your product, what is the product development, is the product innovative or is the process innovative? So all that would be actually assessed by ICAI, which is the rating agency, and they will be awarded this subsidy. The investors will be awarded this subsidy. And friends, let me tell you, for a SME segment, there is no investment criteria also. So if you're making some basic investment which you as it is need for running the factories, you are looking at a 10% subsidy on your incremental cost, which is not a small amount to look at. So probably this is a very good chance what people should avail. The opportunity window is a bit limited, but yes, it is worth the pain what needs to go into it. And as I told, there are some expectations that the 17th June date may go forward. This is just some criteria of what we considered an investment. We discussed this, and 21-22 and 22-23 would be counted as a years for investment. And a land, building, and all this would be, a land will not be considered, rather technical civil building and plant and machinery would be considered as a approved project cost. Timeline for investment, as he told, we need to complete this before 22-23. The entire manufacturing process for selected food products need to happen in India. We'll circulate, we have already circulated this slide, so we can go more in detail at ease. But this is something which some of the conditions which are there. Investment related, as I told, that this is the various factors what they will consider. Because the scheme has a 17 June deadline, thankfully, this deadline is not there for the SME segment. So for the SME segment, the portal is not yet open. So just now at this point of time, this is not the due date of 17 June for this segment. So clearly, we have chance to fit under PLI under the SME segment. For the first category of larger companies, which we saw, the due date is 17 June. So let's have a quick look on the coverage of food products, because we feel that some of the products do not get covered, but let's look at this coverage. So when we look at ready to cook, ready to eat, it's quite a large bucket what they have put out here. So you have ready meals, shelf-stay, frozen, dried, chilled, dinner mixes. You have Indian savory snacks like mixtures, namkeens, chiwda, all that can be considered. Snack bars, like you have this yoga bars and all this kind of products, so that will also be considered. Packaged traditional Indian sweets is also being considered in the RTE, RTC segment. You have ice creams which are being considered. So you have this vadilals or dinshaws which are getting covered. You have milk-based beverages like yogurt, buttermilk. You see the Amul buttermilk. All this are getting covered, and also soya milk. So it is not the ready to cook, ready to eat which you generally look at, like the Suhanas or MTRs kind of a year which you cook and it's ready, the pohas and upmas. It is quite a wide product list what they have given. So what is not included is also being given. And largely this classification and everything is on the basis of HSS. So the harmonized system of codes as per customs is what they are going to look at. So this is quite a wide segment, I would say. There's also one more category in RTC, which is the bakery products like biscuits and packaged cakes. So you have all these biscuits like Britannia Parle, which would be covered under this scale, and also millet-based components. And millet percentage has been prescribed by MOFWI. Fruits and vegetables is also other segment, which is category number 2. And here, if you look at, you have processed foods and vegetables, you have pickles, you have masalas, you have spices. So if you look at this, you have all this MDH, Everest, Praveen Masale, which are qualifying under this scheme. So that's also there. And what is also coming out here is the fruit juice, the pulp, paste, packaged coconut water, fruit-based jams and jellies, tomato ketchup. So quite wide in its coverage, I would say. Marine products have also been notified: fish, fish fillets and meat, processed and mollusks. And what they have done is, this is product falling under the 6% category. There is also a 10% category for the value-added marine products. So these all will fall under the 10%. And mozzarella cheese is mozzarella cheese, which is largely used in pizzas, if you see, and very limited players. But I will say ready to cook, ready to eat, and fruits and vegetables would be a very, very wide sector to look at. So my intention here is, let's not go on the heading only. It's not the heading. It is just the description which will qualify. So a very, very good scheme with a limited time frame at this point of time. And what they are going to do, if they, and government is quite flexible on the PLI schemes, if they don't receive the requisite response at this point of time. So last year also they came up with the Pharma 1. Now they have come up with the Pharma 2. So if they probably don't receive that response, you may have further schemes coming in, which may lower the thresholds of investment or turnover. So probably we'll have to wait for that, how it really looks like. Now, that was the first one. Let's take, and that is where the detailed guidelines of the scheme have come, and people have to file the application before 17 June. SME segment still has some time. The second one has received the cabinet approval on 24th February 2021, and the guidance note at the note for that has come, but still the operational guidelines of the scheme are awaited. Now, what they have done here is, this was obviously to bring that whole flavor of Atmanirbhar Bharat, because we are too much dependent on China on this sector, if you see. So the intention, even in Pharma 1, which was there, was to create global manufacturing champions in this scheme. So after 5 or 6 years, we will not have that dependence on other countries, especially in the APIs or KSMs, what is there typically in pharma. The target groups, what they have done here, has been divided into 3 segments. So you have companies classified according to the global manufacturing revenue. So you have companies with above 5,000 crores. So this will largely be the, if you see the Lupins and these companies of the world, so that will be the larger ones. There are applicants with global manufacturing revenue of 500 crore to 5,000 crore. And here also, they have kept a window for SME segment again. So applicants with gross manufacturing revenue of below 500 crores are also being considered under this scheme. So that will also be considered. So even a company with a 10 crore or a 15 crore kind of a sale can also be looked into this. The total incentive outlay for this scheme is around 15,000 crores. And you will see for the category C, which is SME, 1,750 crores has been allocated, which I will say is again a very, very good subsidy to look at. The formula is going to be the same. It will be a function of the incremental sales over base year. And the base year over year is also going to be 1920. Now, what happens here? So you looked at Group A, Group B, Group C. You are expected to invest this amount over a period of 5 years. So let's look at the SME segment. Here, this is being invested. The expectation is to invest 50 crore over a period of 5 years. So 10 crores each year needs to be invested. Now, even in Pharma 1, they came up with this high limits earlier, and then they relaxed this limiters also. So it is not that they continued with the same limits. They relaxed this after industry was able to represent that this kind of investment may not be really possible in this sector. So the government relaxed those conditions. So this is the first draft. Obviously, we'll see if there is an intention to relax this condition, and that will largely depend on what kind of applications do they receive. What is the subsidy? So the categories again has been divided into three. And I will say, if you look at these three categories, I will say most of the pharma industry has been covered out here. You have biopharmaceuticals, you have complex generic drugs, you have patented drugs. So here the subsidy would be 10%, 8%, 6%. And this is all a formula of your incremental sale. So the basic PLI methodology, invest more, increase your production and get those subsidies, and increase your capacity. So get those subsidies, invest back again, increase the capacities and get those subsidies. So that is how the intention is to create very, very large players. But thankfully in both these schemes, SME sector has also been covered. So you have biopharmaceuticals and all these drugs, which is 10 to 6%. You have APIs and this, which have this subsidy percentage, and you have repurposed drugs also with this percentage. Now, if you see, the good part over here is it is talking about other drugs as approved. So if you feel that some of our products are not getting probably covered and still like a vaccine or this kind of products, that can still be actually represented and ask for inclusion in this scheme. Because obviously in this COVID period, this has become a very, very important sector to look at. And the government also is fully focused on this. So any products which you feel fit this definition can really be looked into. So the detailed guidelines of the scheme are awaited, and post that it will have a 3 or a 4 month window to apply. So probably you will still have time in this till October or November to apply. And the last one for today is PLI for white goods. So initially, if you read the heading, the intention was to give it to finished goods. So the intention was to incentivize ACs and LEDs. Because if you see LED segment, none of the total LED is actually manufactured in India. It all is imported. But then what they did is they removed the finished goods, and now the focus is on components. So because if you read the statement of Piyush Goyal, who is the Commerce Minister, and when he released the scheme, he's saying that I cannot incentivize in a chain twice. If I give incentive to a component, how can I give incentive to a finished goods? And which is a logical thought to look at. So don't go by the name of white goods. It is more on components. So the budgetary allocation for this scheme is around 6,000 crores, and companies making brownfield or greenfield investment would be considered. And what they have done is separate group companies have been done. Cumulative incremental investment and incremental sale condition need to be met. So if you see at least these three PLIs, the intention is the same: incremental investment and incremental sales. And just to add probably one more aspect, at least common for these three PLIs, this does not stop you to claim any other benefits from the central government or any other benefits from the state government also. PLI is over and above all this. So if you are in the food processing sector, let me take an example. You are taking MOFPI, you are taking some Kisan Sampada schemes and state incentive also in Maharashtra package scheme or whatever, still you will be eligible for PLI. So this is over and above all of this, which is very, very important. Now, what they have done here is they have given a PLI percentage, which is 6%, 6%, 5%, 5%, 4%. And it will largely depend on what are those components. and they have divided this investment into a lower segment and a higher segment. And they are also talking of a subsidy. So if you see on a basis of your investment, you are talking about an investment of suppose 50 crores and your minimum PLI coming to around 60 crores. Investment of around rather 300 crores and a minimum PLI of 60 crores. So you're looking at almost 20 to 25% of the project cost coming back to you as an incentive. And this is a minimum PLI what they are talking about. Yes, this limits which were raised, and I'll tell you where the scheme is stuck up at this point of time. When this scheme was bought in, it was largely being bought in for finished goods. So if you see this turnover and this limits, this seem to be largely akin to finished goods. And what kind of components they have covered here are components which are not manufactured in India at this point of time. So if you look at copper tube, this does not get manufactured in India. So they want to encourage investors to actually come to India and invest in this. Now, what they are working on at this point of time, what we understand, is to lower these limits, because these are more limits which are there for a finished goods. And once the focus shifted from finished goods to components, obviously these limits need to be lowered. So this is rather a table of what is the incentive, what it looks like. So this is for ACs and this is for LEDs. So LEDs, you have an investment of around 50 crores and you can expect around 10 crores as a subsidy. This is the minimum one. And there are also smaller segments where you are talking of an investment of around 40 crores and 50 crores also and get those investments. So this scheme also, the draft guidelines are expected to be coming out in next month. And this will have almost a 6-month window to apply. So friends, if you look at this intention of PLI and if you look at the larger intention, is obviously to create those kind of global champions where Samsung and these companies actually got into this and became global champions from Korea. So promote larger players, at least on all the 3 segments. They have bought in SME also. So if you have some startups in food segment which are looking at some innovative products, they can get 10% of the subsidy back. And as I told, this is over and above everything what we are discussing. So a very, very good scheme. Keep a tab on, as professionals, keep a tab on when these schemes are getting released, what's happening, whether your client qualifies. And obviously, you will be given a red carpet welcome if you are looking at these kind of schemes and you're talking to your clients. So largely, this was what I wanted to cover on the 3 schemes. And over to you, Dheeraj. And thank you to the ICAI. It's always a pleasure coming to the Institute and talking. And over to you, Dheeraj, for your set of questions and take the questions.
Thank you, Bhaviji, for excellent presentation. Very briefly, you have touched upon the pharmaceutical, you have touched upon the white goods, and more interesting on the food processing part. People can relate, in the small scale unit. So definitely very excellent by the Modi ji and Agro strategy. We have a lot of questions. So let's see, how much, question I can take. I'll take up starting it. So one of the questions from the members is, will the incentive schemes or seed capital funding also available for the agro production? Modi ji?
Agro production and cold storage are a different activity. Those are manufacturing.
See, that's cold storage. I'm saying that, is any kind of schemes are there in the agro productions?
Yes. There are number of schemes. MOFI is offering subsidy for agro processing industry. State government is also having their respective state agro and food processing policies. Cold storage is a service activity.
Correct. So, okay, then fine. So the members, the various schemes are available. Even seed fundings are available for the agro production. So you can have it checked in. And another point is cold storage are also covered for the vegetable storage subsidy.
Yes.
It's also available. So now next question is pharmaceutical industries. Bhaviji, so do existing pharmaceutical industries are eligible for PLI?
Yeah, existing pharmaceutical companies would also be eligible for the PLI, provided those meet those conditions of investment and turnover which we saw. So the base year, what they are looking at is 1920 for looking at those companies. So yes, if you are meeting those thresholds, you would be eligible. And as I told, they are looking at lowering those thresholds also, because that's too high amount if you look from an investment perspective.
So what is the amount of grant is there in the food processing industries, in the facilities?
In the PLI scheme?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is a percentage of your incremental turnover. So it will be 10%. So suppose, as I told, 100 is your sale for 31st March 20, and today it is 150. On that 50 incremental, you will get 10% subsidy. So 50 crores pay, you will get 5 crores. That's how it will simply work. And this is a straight cashback. This is not by form of a scripts or anything which were there in MEIS. So this will be a straight cashback which will hit your bank account.
So is this subsidy is also available for the warehousing?
No, you will have to do manufacturing. So PLI would be manufacturing and not to warehousing, I would say.
So, Modi,
sir,
do you have any
add
kind of
something?
other facilities for the warehousing?
Yeah,
State and central?
NABARD is having another scheme known as Agriculture Marketing Infrastructure Scheme, AMI scheme, which is offering subsidy for general type of storages. The scheme has expired on 31st March 2021, but it is expected that it will be given extension for another 1 year up to 31st March 2022, and the subsidy is 25% or 33%, and gents owner of the godowns.
So what are the godowns are covering in this schemes?
All types of godown, agro commodity storage, seed, fertilizer storage godowns are covered. Guidelines are available on the NABARD website.
Some of the questions are there. They are the Bhiwandi in Mumbai. There's a lot of godowns are there for the Amazon and other. So will they qualify?
Those godowns are covered under logistic park policy of the state of Maharashtra, because white goods, any other capital goods are stored in those godowns, not agriculture commodities. Hence, they will not be eligible to claim subsidy under NABARD scheme.
Okay.
Those will be covered under Maharashtra logistic park policy.
So there's one more questions. There are 2 cold storage and one common director is there. Will they qualify?
One common director is between both the cold storage.
Both the companies, yes.
Yeah. With the location are different, the companies are different. It does not make effect, but venture capital will not be.
Venture capital fund is not.
Yes. VCA is not will be eligible, and the upper condition for VCA, the project cost should not be more than 5 crore.
Okay. There's another. There's a general questions. I think a lot of general questions are there, and any specific requirement of a minimum parcel of the land for the cold storage?
The ideal land should be 225 running feet multiplied by 225 running feet. The construction is done in 12,000 square feet, the floor plan. But considering the approval of plan and movement of trucks, 50,000 square feet square land is ideal, but 40,000 square land is also suitable. 40,000 square feet.
Suppose any cold storage become a NPA accounts. So what is the your advice to the NPA cold storage? How they can revive themselves?
It's a long answer.
I know that this is not a part of the subject.
I can explain him. Cold storage can never be a. I think he has chosen a wrong location.
Yes, correct. So, any subsidy for the mushroom production plant?
NABARD and APIDA. They can visit to NABARD or to the National Horticulture Mission or to the district agriculture officer. From there, they will get the subsidy for mushroom.
So, capital subsidy, which we discussed, is there any interest subsidies also there?
No, NHB is not offering any interest subsidy for establishing cold storage. The respective state government, even recently, Jammu and Kashmir has come out with their policy, and they are offering 7% interest subsidy for establishing cold storage in J&K. So those who are interested, they can take, they can see there is a state specific policy, but as far as NHB is concerned, NHB is only offering capital subsidy. State specific policy, some of the states are offering, even Gujarat is offering 5% to 7% interest subsidy. J&K has come out with an interest subsidy for cold storage. Madhya Pradesh is not having such scheme. Uttar Pradesh may have such scheme. So respective state government is also offering subsidy for establishing cold storages.
What if the project is up to 5,000 metric ton and cost exceed 4 crore rupees? Will the NHB approve it or not?
Yeah, definitely it will approve and it will give the subsidy at 4 crore rupees. The excess cost will not be considered because
the minimum requirement is 5,000 metric ton. Then
exact 5,000 metric ton is permitted. Below 5,000 metric ton is not. If it is 4,999, then they will go to the state horticulture mission.
Then state is allowing giving the.
But by that time he has missed the bus because he has not applied to the state government also.
Okay.
So his project is completed without IPA. So दोनों जगह से subsidy नहीं मिलेगा.
दोनों तरफ से भी नहीं मिलेगा फिर.
Yes, that's why I told no, okay, at least have minimum 5,500 capacity.
Okay. So I think there are a lot of similar questions are there, which is on the same ground. I think we have already covered up some questions. Some question is still coming, and time is now. So I think more or less question has been involved. So Bhavesh, now last question to you. What is the advice to our younger, chartered accountant in this area? Just was last question.
Yeah, so I would say, the awareness has to be there. So as you told at the start of the discussion, so how do we move out of this compliance practice? So there is a very good opportunity here. If you are aware of these schemes, probably you may not have mastery of probably all the schemes, but at least there should be a bell ringing somewhere that you are coming up with any kind of what we normally call as a capex agenda, whether it is warehouses, whether it is manufacturing, whether it is tourism, whether it is IT, ITS, logistics. Please keep in mind if something is available, that you will have to dig for it, you'll have to search for it, you'll have to attend these kind of seminars, but at least be aware of that front. And let me tell you, once you put it to the clients, if this kind of a subsidy is available, obviously you will be in a different light with him as a consultant, and it will be given always a red carpet welcome, because normally you go there to take taxes, but this is something where you go to give those subsidies. So obviously I will say, so the thread what I'm trying to put across here is keep your eyes, ears open to these kind of opportunities. As a practice, so I will say this is a very good area. But even if you are in your day-to-day activities, I will say at least for partnership firms, I would say, so if you're looking at partners with 2 or 3, partnership firms with 2 or 3 practicing chartered accountants, I will say dedicate one of your partners to this.
Very true.
It will take some time. It will take some time, probably 2 or 3 years for him to give you the revenues. But then what happens? This becomes a stepping stone. So new companies are coming to you for subsidies. So you will say, "Ye mera partner tax audit bhi karta hai, ye audit bhi karta hai, aap isse ye karwa lo." So it becomes a bundle of services as a partnership firm what you are looking at. So I will say, if you are and get that network in place, and please assign one of your partners dedicated to this area, and you will see your practice growing for sure.
That's true. So there's a question to Modi ji and Bhavesh. You are in the practice in this area. Sometimes you find difficulties with the liaising with the government department. How you tackle? I know that being a EY, you will not subscribe any kind of such nonsense practices. Then how you do it all because the culture of the system is like that. So how you cope up these things and remain your client?
Modi ji, you want to take that first?
मोदी जी के मुंह से मत बुलवाओ भाई, बड़े मोदी जी प्रॉब्लम में पड़ जाएंगे. Normally, if you have fulfilled all the terms and conditions and if it is according to the guidelines, and I urge to the central and state government also to make the subsidy disbursement procedure quasi-judicial. अभी जो सब्सिडी देने वाली एजेंसी वो उपकार की भाषा से बात करता है कि मैं तुमको इतना बड़ा 1 करोड़ 5 करोड़ देता हूँ. So my urge to the, and there is no organized way. Each department officer is, वो जैसा बोलते हैं ना, हत्ती को अंधा कोई क्या बोलता. So it is a self-made rule by the disbursing authorities. But if you have fulfilled the terms and conditions, it is not difficult. And a senior person, normally the departmental officer will not cross-check or cross-ask you are eligible or not eligible. A newcomer, some little problem is there. But
so
I don't
any kind of citizen charter is there for the
no sir, no sir,
so my point is that we are chartered accountant, we are very good in the numbers and presentation, and we can guide the points. The only issues is to lies with the respective department to get it the claim of the subsidy.
My request to the chairman of MSME committee is that when drafting these policies, why we chartered accountants are not taken into consideration, our opinion, our thought process, our drafting skills, our guidelines, because ultimately it's a finance matter. So I think ICAI can play a good role while preparing and drafting the policies.
Of course, that is why the committee is being built up in this year, to have the MSME and all people. So I think what we needed more contribution from the members, any specific requirement, and there's a ways going on changing in the MSME Acts. So people can suggest, there are a lot of MSME issues are there, which we can represent to the MSME committee and the various respective department, and even the various department and state government, what are the issues are there. You just send us the issues so that we can come out any draft policy and represent them. These are taking so much time and not having clearance from that department, and we can represent them also. We can come out with the citizen charter things. Once it is applied, how many days and how many months it's going to be clear, and so that without automatic and the systematic transparent way of login and using the technology, that is also a requirement. So we can, and Bhavesh can take up with your good offices, your connectivity with the various departments and the state government, why manual things is the requirement for the claims. It's to be online, and everything can be there online and they can see it. So the more important role of the chartered accountant can play important way. So all people can involve in this area.
Sure.
Sir, one more suggestion from my side. See, whenever subsidies are disbursed, sometimes the officers by mistake or say by oversight or by because of some reason, अगर किसी को 1 करोड़ मिलना है उसको 1.5 करोड़ सब्सिडी सैंक्शन कर. Even post-sanction audit from external agencies should also be done, and this will help the government to minimize the revenue loss. The intention of the government is very good, but post-sanction disbursement, auditing of the subsidies are not done by the external agency. So here also we can play a very important role, because there are so many mistakes done because these person who are sanctioning these subsidies are not accounts literate. And they make a mistake because they violate the guidelines. They can't understand the guidelines. What is capex and which are permitted and not permitted expenditure. So even that way also we can develop our practice, and we will save the national or the exchequer of the central government or state government.
Right. So now we have also got some more questions. So to the Sanjay Bhavesh Chakaji, company manufacturing medicine on job work basis and selling its own branding. So whether the subsidies are available on this schemes?
Yeah. So if you look at contract manufacturing, what we are discussing, so the detailed guidelines of pharma are still awaited, but if you go by the earlier pharma, what they are saying, and even in food processing, so your contract manufacturer, if it is totally dedicated to you, so the investment on that of what you make as an investment of what he also makes as an investment can be considered, and the manufacturing has to happen in India. And the third criteria here would be that the contract manufacturer has to attach an NOC that I have not claimed any subsidy. So obviously in the value chain, you are claiming it once. That's allowed.
So, as you said that, pharma company are eligible for this. So, whether homeopathic and Ayurvedic also eligible for this?
No, this is largely, if you see the list, is largely allopathy at this point of time. Obviously, the companies will have to talk to the Department of Pharmaceuticals but largely, if you see the tilt is
No,
towards
Ayush Mantralayah had a lot of incentives and subsidies program. So the
Correct.
person who coming with the Ayurvedic and homeopathic have a log on the Ayush Mantralayah. Ayush Mantralayah provide a lot of subsidies in this area. Huge subsidies.
And the appropriate representation. Absolutely. And appropriate representation would have to be made.
Yes, yes. So you have to see the different, which is connected ministries are there. So that you search it and then you can get it. Another point for the Modi company engaged in the business of manufacturing as well as the food processing of dry foods like roasting, frying, and such other process like dry foods will eligible to claim benefit on this scheme.
Yeah, definitely. Most of the people from Mumbai, they are having cold storages in Vashi, Rabale, Bhiwandi. So they are storing their commodities like dry fruits and in these cold storages. See, trading along with cold storage is permitted. You can have a separate entity.
Right. So any subsidy for ghee manufacturing?
Ministry of Food Processing Industry or Dairy Industry.
Dairy is.
NABARD is having one scheme, Dairy Entrepreneurial Development Scheme, DEDS. So where there they can take the benefit. NABARD is having a specific scheme for ghee, paneer, butter, ice cream manufacturing.
I don't know what the question, new question came. What is the definition of cost? What is the definition of cost?
Cost is defined by NHB itself, no. Up to it depends upon the capacity of the cold storage. And I have given the formula of calculation of the capacity. Length multiplied by width multiplied by height divided by 3.4 is the capacity. And based on your capacity multiplied by according to capacity the cost norms. Cost in he wants to ask what includes cost. Cost includes construction cost, machinery cost, electrical, all cost. All capex is included in that cost.
So their question from the one member, I think he is not listening properly. So cold storage of 5,000 metric capacity, whether in principle is necessary, if yes, to from whom? So it's you already explained that it's required from NHB. I think it's member has to listen to it. And people are asking how to keep updated on the new schemes. We are coming with a portal. And in the portal, entire states going to be covered up and entire schemes going to be covered up. And in that portal, we're going to have a empanelment of the member also, a speaker also, faculty also, all resource person, and all sort of things in the portal will be there. So you can avail the services. Maybe it take time, by 1st of July, we are planning to launch this portal. So member can update it themselves. Just wait for 1 month. You will get everything on your one click. So with this, I thank you to the Bhaveji and Jimmy Modi for excellent, presentation on the new opportunities in this area to play by the charter content. Great. Thank you very much for your time and valuable inputs. Thank you.
Thank you for giving us an opportunity.
Thank you all the participants. More than 6,500 people are attending this event, and not a single, only 19 people have dropped it. Generally, we have seen that people are entering and dropping, but the person who logged are there till end, and as of now also only 19 people are dropped. All people, it's a VCM registered proper prior to that. No registration were allowed after 4 p.m. So only 6,500 people are attending, and all people are attending in the regularly. So with this, thank you, and thank you all participants for tuning with this initiative.
Thank you for giving us the opportunity.
Thank you.